John was running late for work as he hurried to his car on the cold autumn morning. He fumbled to get his keys out when a raspy voice called out, "Spare some change?" John turned to see a disheveled homeless man dressed in tattered clothes standing nearby. As John reached for his wallet, the man grabbed his arm with a bony hand. "I don't want your money," the man whispered, "but you can help me." His eyes glowed red as he opened his mouth, revealing sharp fangs where his canine teeth should be. John yanked his arm back in shock. The creature hissed, "Don't try to escape your fate! My bite will make you immortal like me!" John turned to run, but the vampire pounced, knocking him to the ground. He felt a hot, moist breath on his neck as the vampire's teeth grazed his skin. John couldn't break free from the creature's inhuman strength. He squeezed his eyes shut and braced for the end. Suddenly, gunshots rang out. The vampire shrieked and released its grip on John. He scrambled away and saw his coworker Chris holding a smoking pistol. "Silver bullets," Chris chuckled. "Never leave home without 'em." The vampire writhed on the ground, howling in agony. Its skin sizzled where the silver bullets had grazed it. "Finish it off!" John yelled to Chris. But the creature spread its tattered cloak and vanished in a puff of smoke. John slumped against his car in relief. "Thanks, man, you really saved me." But Chris just smiled coldly. "Don't mention it," he said as his eyes began to glow red. Razor-sharp fangs slid from his mouth. John's eyes widened in terror as he realized his grave mistake. "Yes, that vampire bit me last night," Chris rasped, advancing toward John. "And now, the gift of immortality is mine." John turned to run, but Chris tackled him with unnatural speed. He pinned John down, tilting his head to expose his neck. "Don't worry, the transformation is quite painless," Chris whispered. His rancid breath made John gag. This was it. He braced for the creature's fangs to pierce his flesh. But suddenly Chris recoiled in agony. John saw the tip of a wooden stake protruding from Chris's chest. Behind him stood John's wife Annie, clutching a mallet. "I knew something was off with him," she cried. Chris howled and thrashed, trying to claw the stake from his chest. But his struggles weakened. Annie grabbed John's hand, pulling him away from the vampire's writhing corpse. John staggered back with Annie's help, gasping for breath. The other vampire, he could come back." Annie nodded firmly. "Let's get out of here first." They jumped into John's car and peeled out of the parking lot. As they drove away, John gripped Annie's hand. "I don't know how to thank you. You saved my life." Annie smiled. "Of course, anything for you, my love." John smiled back, filled with relief and gratitude. But his smile faded. Had Annie's canine teeth always been so pointed? Annie stroked John's cheek with her cold hand. "Don't worry, darling. We have eternity together now." Her eyes flashed red for a moment as she leaned in and kissed John's neck. He shuddered helplessly, realizing too late that he was trapped in the embrace of not one, but two vampires.